What's up? It's Only Talk 123, and news have just come in. The Detroit Tigers made big news earlier today, just a few minutes ago actually, acquiring Delmon Young from the Minnesota Twins. I was very surprised about this deal because number one, Delmon Young last year, as a 24-year-old, once was a first-round pick. As a 24-year-old, hit 21 home runs and plus 100 RBIs and 112 RBIs last year. This year he was hurt early in the season, and he's had a lot of time to get back in the swing of things. But he's only hit like 260. So, understandably, that the Twins sitting way out of first place, not expecting to finish in the top 3 or 2 for the division race, start to sell off pieces. Now, this is something they probably should have done at the trade deadline. Who knows, they might have gotten more from then. Players like Michael Kadire and such, those are players that kind of were expected to totally be dealt early in the year because the Twins were not even close. They were started off the year so bad. Worst record in baseball. Now, they've definitely climbed back, and they're not last in the Central. And they don't have the worst record in baseball. They're only like 10, 15 under 500 now, which is not good, but it's better than what they started off with. But for the Tigers, this could be kind of a steal. They did have to give up left-handed Cole Nelson, who was, he wasn't like a first-round pick or anything, 44th, 45th round or something like that. And he did really well in Class A last year. And then he gets into high Class A, and he's like almost a 5 ERA. He's 5-11. But this dude, coming from Auburn, he's actually had a lot of potential. Again, left-handed pitcher there. We'll see if anything turns out for the Twins there. Obviously, they're looking at pitching right now. And you got to remember, Delmon Young, the Twins sent Jason Bartlett, Matt Garza, those were the headlining names, to the Tampa Bay Rays for Delmon Young. At that time, Delmon Young was very young. He's still young. He's 25. You got to remember, this guy's not 30 years old. He's 25. He's not even in his prime yet, even though last year he finally showed some of his full potential. When he was drafted in the first round, maybe, I don't even know if it might have been even the first pick or the first few picks. Whatever it was, he had so much potential, and they expected so much of him. Last year was really when he actually finally kind of lived up to that potential. And I think if the Twins, if he was doing a lot better this year, obviously the Twins would probably keep him. Or if he was doing better, they would sell him at the trade deadline, trade him, and get more and better prospects for him because they're really not getting that much. Cole Nelson, yes, he's a decent prospect. He struggled this year, but he does have some potential. And then just a player to be named later. The player to be named later does have to be chosen before October. That's what it says. That's the only news on that. The Tigers already have a roster spot for him. Now, but the big thing here is Young is only 25. He is team controlled through next year, and he probably is going to be getting a raise a little bit, just a little bit. He's only making like $5 million this year, which is not very cheap considering his stats for this year, but considering his potential, it's pretty cheap, especially with him hitting 21 home runs and driving in 112 RBIs last year. Now, for the Tigers, you're probably like, well, why are they making this move? I like the move, but why? Well, Brendan Bosch, he's shown a lot of potential. He's hurt right now. And Magdaleno Ordonez, he's getting older. They just signed an extension with him, but he's not a for sure spot for the job in right field. So they get Delmon Young. I think all the Tiger fans should be very excited to have him this year and next year. Expect him to put up a lot better numbers next year, but maybe him being a very important part of the Tigers' push for the playoffs, and he might do very well down the stretch. I think a change of scenery is good for him. I think getting him to a very, still the AL Central, but another contending team, a team that's in first place right now, the Detroit Tigers. They have a good offense already, a very good offense, and you add a guy like Delmon Young, who next year, if he hits 20-plus home runs, this lineup just keeps getting better and better. And we'll see what they do with the outfield spots for next year with him. Maybe if he's putting up really good numbers next year, you trade him or you trade Magdaleno Ordonez, either one. You can do a lot of things with him, but right now the most important thing is this provides them solid depth in the outfield and provides them a starting right fielder right now. So, again, big move for the Tigers. I wasn't expecting this. If any players were to be moved, this guy would never be on my list. He's 25, and I just totally forgot about the possibility that a guy like him could be dealt. Obviously, for the Twins, if they would have dealt him last year, a 24-year-old hitting 21 home runs, 112 RBIs, obviously you would get a lot more than just Cole Nelson and a player to be named later. So the haul is not the greatest for the Twins, but especially considering the fact that the Twins had to give up Jason Bartlett, Matt Garza, and then only get back like 1 or 2 years of Delmon Young, and then Cole Nelson, a player to be named later. So you know Delmon Young had a very good year last year. I don't think Twin fans are that excited to see him go, but obviously the Twins have some young guys coming up. They feel like they can get rid of a 25-year-old who has a potential to be a very, very good player. Let's just say an all-star. So for the Tigers, though, a great move for them. I think there's a good move moving on for the organization. For next year, they have a very good starting outfield now for next year. Their offense just keeps getting better and better, especially if Delmon Young can hit 20-plus home runs next year. Their offense is looking a lot better. Their outfield's looking a lot better. Again, Delmon Young's not known to be a great defender, but he does his job in the outfield. The main thing with him is offense, and he's got a lot of tools, a lot of potential to provide the Tigers with a very good outfield bat there. So I love the move for the Tigers. For the Twins, it's just kind of something they might have had to do. Obviously, keeping them for this year and next year might have been maybe smarter. Sometimes the trades that you don't make actually help you more. So we'll see what happens with this trade. Maybe Cole Nelson becomes a pretty good left-handed pitcher for them starting in relief. And, maybe the player to be named later becomes something. We'll just have to see. It's kind of a wait and see on this one, especially with Delmon Young. We're going to have to see how he does this year and how he does next year to really say who wins this deal. But right now, it's looking like a pretty good steal for the Tigers at this point to get a guy like Delmon Young for another year. And then if they really feel like this guy could be a part of the organization as a 26-year-old next year, they could re-sign him, and we'll see what happens from there. So I like the moves for the Tigers. Great move for them, and we'll just have to see what it is for the Twins. But again, Delmon Young acquired by the Detroit Tigers just about half an hour ago. Thanks for watching MLB Talk 123.